Hey there Crimlets, welcome back to another video. Stalwart Dungeons for 1.20.1 Forge adds 2 structures to the Nether and 1 structure to the end. Each of these points of interest house beautifully designed mobs, dangerous traps, and abundance of loot. Enjoy 3 armor sets, 2 tool sets, and a complete lineup of hammers that both function as weapons and tools. The way these structures generate is quite peculiar. They spawn as a makeshift seed that then spawns the structure. This means /locate doesn't work and the generation can be unstable. Let's begin with the Awful Dungeon. These generate in Soul Sand Valley and Warped Forest biomes. There's no convenient or consistent way of finding this structure, so get your spyglass out and start searching. This goes for the rest of the structures as well. The Awful Dungeon has a multitude of chests filled with repetitive low-tier loot. When I say repetitive, I mean the loot is not randomized, meaning chests will be in the same locations with the same loot table in other Awful Dungeons. This dungeon is mostly made of soul bricks. This block crafts into a small block set. Soul tiles are also found here, although not as abundantly. The soul magma bricks are up for grabs too. They have similar properties to magma blocks. These cannot be crafted. 2 trap blocks wait to be stepped on, the Pusher and Igniter. The Pusher acts like a conveyor belt, pushing mobs and items alike. This block can be useful for travel, upgrading your mob grinders, especially the nether ones, and keeping your base safe from intruders. The Igniter block sets entities on fire that are standing on top of it while also inflicting them with the burning effect for 30 seconds. This effect randomly inflicts fire damage during its duration. Dropping items onto the Igniter will burn them to ashes. All 4 middle towers have a small chamber of tungsten ore located at its base. This ore is also occupying the main center tower. Mine tungsten with an iron pickaxe or higher to receive raw tungsten. This melts into an ingot. These ingots craft the tungsten tool and armor set, along with a hammer. Vanilla materials / minerals can be used to craft the respective hammers as well. Hammers double as a weapon and mining tool. A new enchantment, Thunderstrike, has been added solely for hammers. Shift left clicking has the chance to summon a lightning bolt on a target. This chance increases with each level of the enchantment. The damage of the strike is 17 health points at all levels. This number includes the burning damage. Alright, let's shift our focus back on tungsten. The full set of armor gives 23 armor points, 4 armor toughness, and 4 knockback resist. It also grants immunity to burning and the wither effect. This does not include immunity to lava or even fire itself, sadly. Just the burning after you've been lit on fire. Tungsten also makes a shield, which does exactly what you expect. The 1.20.1 version of Stalwart Dungeons has a bug where all 3 shields do not work, like at all. Stick with 1.19.2 until the mod gets a hotfix. The tungsten tool set is almost on par with netherite when it comes to base stats and mine speed. The durability, however, is nowhere close. It's finally time to cover the mobs inhabiting the Awful Dungeon. The incomplete wither spawns from spawners located in the corner towers. This mutated wither skeleton doesn't have any special moves, but do keep in mind it deals almost as much damage as a hard mode Vindicator. Upon death, it drops 0 to 3 coal, 0 to 2 bones, and has a 5% chance to drop a wither skeleton skull, which is double than a wither skeleton. The incomplete wither may also drop its tungsten axe. The reinforced blaze spawns from spawners positioned in the smaller inner towers. This shielded blaze has projectile immunity at the cost of not having a fireball attack like its vanilla counterpart. Upon death, it drops 2 blaze rods and 1 blaze armor scrap. This scrap is a crafting component for the tungsten armor and tool set. To summon the Awful Dungeon's boss, one will need to use a nether star on the altar block found in the center tower. The altar block is indestructible, which means players can't relocate it to fight the boss elsewhere. Hold on to your chair and pucker them cheeks up. The Awful Ghast is making its debut. The boss's range attack renders your held item unusable for roughly 7 seconds and applies 10 seconds of the burning effect. Upon reaching 50% health, the Awful Ghast initiates phase 2. Fireballs will no longer be shot. Instead, the boss will float to you to deal massive melee damage. This attack has some serious knockback. If you're having trouble with this fight, you can exploit the short detection and attack range this boss has. Using ranged weapons from a distance feels like cheating, because it kinda is. Upon death, the Awful Ghast drops 2 to 4 ghast tears, 4 awful crystals, and 1 awful gun. An awful crystal crafts into an awful dagger. This deals 6 damage and removes an entity's effects, both buffs and debuffs. The awful gun shoots the Awful Ghast's fireball. This deals up to 10 damage and applies 10 seconds of the burning effect. Our next stop is the Keeping Castle. These generate nether wastes and crimson forest biomes. The chests here are filled with repetitive mid-tier loot, similarly to the Awful Dungeon. This dungeon is mostly made of vanilla blocks, such as nether brick in its red variant. There are a few modded blocks to be found here as well, such as the Spore Vaporizer and the Transient block. The Spore Vaporizer continuously spews out a new Spore effect, reaching up to 2 blocks in front of it. When the Spore effect falls off, the infected entity will be trapped in a nether wart prison, rendering them immobile. Dealing enough damage to this will break the entity free, but also inflict them with Wither 2 for 10 seconds. Using empty bottles on a Spore cloud will collect it. These Spore bottles can also be looted from the Keeping Castle's chests. Splash an entity with the bottle to inflict them with Spore for 30 seconds, or combine it with tungsten armor and a smithing table to forge warped armor. The upgraded armor is basically the same except for the burning immunity being replaced with Spore immunity. This is a must-have if you don't fancy turning into a nether wart blob. The other modded block is the Transient block. Right-clicking will make it and other connected transient blocks disappear for a short duration. Redstone also triggers this mechanic. These blocks can be mined and collected for your own use, or crafted with this structure's boss drop. The Giddy Blaze is one of 2 mobs you'll run into while conquering this dungeon. They spawn as a statue, only coming alive when an unsuspecting player walks by. The Giddy Blaze is a mundane creature, only possessing the immunity to fall damage. Upon death, it drops 1 to 3 nether bricks and 1 blaze rod. To summon the Keeping Castle's boss, another nether star will be needed to be used on the altar block found in the center tower's lower chamber. Before you start the fight, I highly recommend blocking off the lava in Spore Vaporizers, especially if you don't have the warped armor. The Nether Keeper is an absolute powerhouse. Its attacks send flows flying backwards. Keep your distance because touching its body will inflict you with a Spore effect for 30 seconds. The boss summons 4 Giddy Blazes every 10 seconds, making this arena even more claustrophobic. If you somehow defeat this monstrosity, you'll be rewarded with 0 to 3 nether bricks and 1 ancient fire. Ancient fire crafts the igniter block, transient block, and the nether hammer. The hammer deals 14 attack damage, has built-in fire aspect, and doubles as a pickaxe like the other hammers. The nether hammer also smelts mined ores, but it can't mine gold or anything higher. Another use of the ancient fire is to smelt ore while it's in your offhand. Now, as odd as this sounds, the Nether Keeper can actually be tamed with awful crystals, and just like that, you now have a nether behemoth fighting for you. I don't know if it can be healed or told to stay, but I do know that it still gives you the Spore effect if you touch it. Our final destination is the Ender Globe. These generate in void in midland biomes. Yep, that's right, they can be found hovering above the void. This structure's chests are harder to find. One is located at the top of the obsidian monolith, while the rest are hidden underneath. They hold upper tier loot that is on par with end city loot, and unlike the other structures, the items are randomized. This dungeon is mostly made of purpur blocks. This block crafts into a small block set. Cracked and chiseled endstone bricks are other modded decor blocks making up this structure. Shruster blocks are conveniently laid around. They are bounce pads that inflict levitation 2 for 2 seconds. This block is uncraftable but collectible with a pickaxe. Another utility block called the Obsidian Striker is built into the obsidian monolith. Using TNT on them will cause an explosion 9 blocks above. This mechanic is crucial for fighting the Ender Globe's boss. This block is uncraftable but is collectible with a diamond pickaxe or higher. Shulker cannons are positioned on the corner pillars. I love these things and you will too. Right click to mount and have TNT in your hand to fire off an explosion. Don't have the angle you want? Move around with WASD or pick it up and place it back down. Chorundum ore is sprinkled into the exterior wall and a large deposit is stashed under the center monolith. Use a diamond pickaxe or higher to collect its gem. This crafts into an armor and tool set. The armor also requires the Ender Globe's boss drop, so you don't just grab and go without a fight. The full set gives 25 armor points, 8 armor toughness, and 4 knockback resist. Levitation is no longer a problem while wearing this set. The Chorundum tool set is slightly better than Netherite when it comes to base stats and mine speed. This includes the durability as well. When you first enter the Ender Globe, you'll be greeted by the Propulk. These flying shulkers spawn from 4 spawners located at the base of the monolith. They fire non-homing projectiles that inflict levitation 3 for 5 seconds. Upon death, the Propulk drops 1 shulker shell. To summon this structure's boss, it's going to cost yet another nether star. Use a Shruster to reach its altar block, and when you're ready, summon the Shelterer. This boss is unique because it only takes damage from explosions. It's time to make good use of those obsidian strikers and shulker cannons. If you're lazy like me, building iron golems is a great way to cheat this boss fight. They for some reason can damage the Shelterer. Dropping its health to 0 initiates phase 2. The shield breaks, allowing the boss to hop around. Melee and range attacks can injure the boss now, but I do not suggest getting near this thing. Phase 2 Shelterer's melee attacks deal 40 health points. To put this into perspective, a normal mode Warden deals 30 HP with its melee attack. Upon death, it drops 4 Void Crystals. These craft into Chorundum Armor, the Teleporter, and the Teleporter Core. Place 2 Teleporter blocks down. Link the Teleporter Core to one of them by shift right-clicking. Place the core into the unlinked Teleporter block. Shifting on top of this will teleport you to the linked Teleporter. Use a fresh core on the Teleporter block that has the first core. Place this into the vacant Teleporter block to create a two-way link. The range seems to be unlimited, 20,000 blocks apart, and it still works. Unfortunately, it does not work across dimensions. There are 3 more block sets you can make: the Nether Bricks and Netherrack set, Nether Bricks and Soul Sand set, and the Purple Bricks and Endstone. The Nether Bricks and Soul Sand blocks slow like Soul Sand, but it's weaker. Other than that, these blocks are for building. If you're playing in creative or with cheats enabled, make sure to utilize the structure spawner items. They generate their respective structure when thrown. Now that you've seen everything, which dungeon is your favorite? Please leave a comment with your thoughts and opinions. While you're down there, check the description for mod links. Thanks for watching, like the video, subscribe, and consider becoming a channel member. You'll be put on screen along with these lovely people. And as always, Grimlets, stay snazzy.